Hello, I'm Dr. Brian Connor. I'm an assistant professor of nursing in the College of Nursing. I'm also the undergraduate program director for the College of Nursing, and I am the course coordinator for NRDNP 862, Practice Inquiry, and IRB. The purpose of this very brief orientation video is to give you an overview of the course. This video link is going to go out to all of the students as well as the faculty that will be involved in this course, so I want to explain to everyone what it is we expect of you throughout the next 14 to 15 weeks. So try to be very brief and to the point. There will be plenty of information available for you in Moodle. Please be sure to start out and look at, I hope you view this video if you are able to view it once I email it to you, but if not, when you go into Moodle, please view this video before viewing the welcome announcement that will be in Moodle, and then of course there'll be a syllabus that you must read and understand everything that's in the syllabus, and then there'll be some other information about student presentation dates, when you're coming to campus to present. So let me just back up and just tell you what this course is all about. First of all, I believe this course is different than any other course you've had in the DNP program and likely throughout any of your college career, high school, any other time. I've designed this course to do nothing other than to help you develop a practice improvement project proposal that you have to come to campus eventually and present for approval by the faculty, so that once you begin residency you can have a project that's been approved and move forward with conducting your project. The purpose of a DNP project is much like the dissertation that the PhD students have to do. It's about demonstrating your scholarly competency, and for clinical practice, for DNPs, we do that through the clinical project, the practice improvement project, which should be evidence-based and a quality improvement type of project rather than research. PhD students do research. They conduct research throughout their dissertation, and we in the DNP program do not conduct research. So that's one of the very first things I want to be clear about is all of the projects that will be developed, project proposals that will be developed during this course should be quality improvement projects, with the exception of some students may wish to focus on policy. We've had just a few DNP students, but we encourage you, if you're interested in health policy of any sort, you can develop a project through this course and propose that, and something you would conduct during your residency, where perhaps you go to the State House in South Carolina, perhaps you go to Washington if you're trying to do something for national policy, perhaps something around state policy. It could be even about changing a major policy, not a small one, but a major policy in a particular organization, hospital, or perhaps agency, nonprofit, something working in the community. So we have some options for you, but by and large, most of the projects that we develop and have proposals for and that the faculty approve are practice improvement projects. One of the very first things you must understand, students, is that you really need a site to conduct your project in. So many of you, I think everyone, has had the NRDNP 858 course, Evidence-Based Practice, Quality, and Safety, where you developed a State of the Science paper. Many of you had that just in the fall of 2013. Some of you had that much earlier. One way or the other, it's our hope that what you developed for your State of the Science paper will translate into your project, but sometimes that's not the case. And in particular, it's not the case when you had a great idea for a project, you did your literature review and evidence synthesis and developed your State of the Science paper. However, you have no place to conduct that project. So that's a problem. When you come to campus to present, which will happen in April, and there'll be presentation dates for everyone, when you come to campus to present your project proposal for approval, one of the first things we want to know right up front is, do you have a site? Have you gotten approval from people in the site, someone in authority? It might be a physician, it might be a manager or director in hospital units, could be any number of people, but somebody in the site who approves you doing this project in their site, understands your time frame that you're going to lay out in your proposal, and basically gives you approval. One of the biggest problems we've seen in the past are students who have a great idea for a project but nowhere to do it. Or they have asked a site if they can do it there. Sometimes it's a primary care site, and they say yes, but once the student starts to implement the project, they back away, and then you have problems trying to get it done. So one of the things we want to try to avoid is problems once you're in residency actually trying to conduct your project. So we're trying to do a better job up front of helping you discern. So one of the first things you have to do as you start into this course is to figure out, where am I going to do this project? For many of you, it will be in the work site, the place where you're working right now. Many people, especially post-baccalaureate nurses, are working in hospitals or some agencies, and that might be the easiest place for you to do a project. You get your manager's approval. You get people on board that are supportive of you doing the project. That's wonderful. Some of you are in clinical sites where you've already talked to them about being able to do your residency in those sites, and you have developed a relationship, and that might be an excellent place for you to discuss with them about doing your practice improvement project in their site. The other thing, it has to be something that's needed. You can have a wonderful idea for a project, but if it's not something that's needed in the particular site, if there's not a problem in that site, you're not going to be able to show, likely not able to show results, improvement in outcomes. One of the most important things about your project that you're going to develop a proposal for is that it's about trying to improve patient outcomes in some way. For those who might end up doing policy work, you might not be able to measure specifically what outcomes will occur that would improve patient outcomes. However, we can help you decide what are the outcomes that we believe will lead to improved patient outcomes. So everything we want you to do, please keep it in mind that this is all about quality improvement. It's not about research. Researchers explore. Researchers use typically two groups, an intervention group and a control group. That's what their comparison is, to determine whether their intervention is effective or not. For us, the way you determine if your intervention, whatever you decide, and hopefully it must be an evidence-based intervention, we measure that and measure the effectiveness of your intervention on comparison of before and after, pre and post. That's the terminology we use. Pre-intervention data, post-intervention data. You gather data about what's occurring. You come up with a clinical issue, a problem that you think needs to be resolved. You've gone to the literature, or you go to the literature. You figure out what is the best evidence for how to solve that problem, and you come up with an intervention that's evidence-based that you're going to implement to see if you can solve the problem in that local site, whether it's a primary care practice, a community clinic of some sort, or certainly any hospital-based units, ED, critical care, med-surg units, whatever it might be, wherever you are going to be able to conduct your project. I just can't emphasize enough how the first couple of weeks here, if you haven't yet, you have to really begin to figure out, where am I going to do this? Can I get approval from the people there? And then how do I design an intervention that we think will be effective? And particularly, what are the measurable outcomes? How am I going to know if I'm making a difference? And so you figure out, what are the measurable outcomes I want to change, and can I get the data to measure what's happening before I implement this intervention. Then we do the intervention, and then we measure afterwards. I need to make a very important point here, that often DNP students want to educate patients or staff members in some way. And what I can tell you is, education in and of itself is not a quality improvement. I could teach you anything. I could measure what you know prior to me teaching you something. I can teach you something, and I can measure what you know afterwards, and I guarantee you I can show an improvement in your knowledge, but that doesn't equate to an improvement in outcomes, because as all of us know, many people are not compliant in any type of treatment regimen. So just educating somebody, let's say for instance you want to work with obese patients and you want to educate them on better eating habits and better exercise, and then you want to measure afterwards whether they sort of got it. That's not enough. You are not going to be able to show quality improvement by just educating people. What we want you to focus on mostly is our processes. What are the processes? Not just educating patients and then trying to measure their individual behavior. This is a very important point. We want your projects to focus on populations, but more so on the processes that we use in healthcare to try to improve patient health and patient outcomes. So most of the time we want your quality improvement, your practice improvement projects that are evidence-based to be focused on what is it that providers do, what is it that staff do, what are the processes involved, and how can we improve those processes to get a better outcome from the patients. Educating patients, trying to gauge whether or not they're compliant with particular treatments, that lends itself much more to research than it does to quality improvement. And another really important point is when you are involving human subjects and patients and doing something to them, you typically have to go through IRB, get IRB approval. In a later video, I'm going to explain to you the difference between having to get IRB approval for your project versus using what we have now developed is a quality improvement checklist, or QI checklist, that has been approved by the IRB. And I'll explain that in another session, another video. So I don't want to spend too much time right now. I just wanted to hit some of the highlights about what this course is about. This course is about, fortunately, we have a faculty to student ratio of 1 to 5. So we have adjunct faculty. My job is to coordinate the course, to put all the content in the course as far as your learning. It's very important, hopefully, that you get this book that is absolutely required, Proposal Writing for Nursing Capstones and Clinical Projects by Bonnell and Smith. This is just vital because this little book is going to help you write an excellent proposal, also along with our guidance. My job is to help the adjunct faculty help each of you. Each adjunct faculty will have 4 to 5 students to work with. So we'll work in Moodle. Each faculty member will decide whether they want to follow you in their groups in Moodle, which they should do no matter what, but also if they want to email with you back and forth, they may want to have phone conversations on a weekly basis, they may want to have Skype sessions. I leave that up to each individual faculty member working with their group of students to decide how they communicate, but communication should happen weekly. Some form of communication on a weekly basis so that the faculty member knows where their students are in the process and are helping you as you go along. All of the discussion forums in this course are focused on your projects. There's no what I consider extraneous sort of work. It's everything that you do and everything that you write should be focused on your project or giving feedback to your peers about what they've written for their projects. So everything is focused on project proposal development. All right, so I'm going to stop there because I didn't want this orientation video to be too long. I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what we're going to be doing. And the bottom line is it moves so rapidly. From the time we start on January 7th, we only have until March 2nd where you need to provide a written rough draft proposal to your faculty members, and I'll be looking over all of the rough drafts as well. So the rough draft, by the time you get there, may not be complete. It's what we say, it's a rough draft, but it should have all of the elements we're asking, even if you don't know all of the details for all of the elements. But then it's going to be by the about the first or maybe the second week in April that you have to have everything completed. So the two main deliverables, products in this course are a written project proposal, and you're going to develop a presentation. It could be PowerPoint, which I use that terminology, but it could also be Prezi, if some of you are familiar with Prezi. A presentation that because that's what you will come to campus in April and present to the faculty for approval. But interestingly, I've found it is very helpful for you to develop that presentation and to submit it to your peers prior to coming to campus and get some feedback to help you really make it the best it can be by the time you come to present for faculty. Okay, that's all I want to say for now. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. That includes students as well as faculty throughout the spring semester of 2014. Thanks very much, and we'll talk to you next year.